Welcome to A Cow's Opinion for this week, ladies and gentlemen. This is A Cow's Opinion, where I tell you my opinion on things. And the opinion doesn't really matter because it's a cow's opinion, which makes it a moo point. Thank you so much for tuning in. And happy news, actually, to begin this week off. I had talked about Fantasia and Penny Blood, and look at this, with still 30 days to go, we have greatly surpassed the pledge goal of making this stuff. They wanted, I'll put it into... Yeah, they wanted 100 million yen, which is about $720,000 when you convert it. And they have already gone 25% higher than that. So, we're going to go down to stretch goals. They are almost certainly going to hit the first stretch goal that they have. Let's review that real quick. And... yeah, we have funded the games. We're going to get the games. Expected in 2025, so... But at $1 million, we're going to get console versions of the games, so that those of you who have PlayStations and Xboxes can also have fun. They have said that they are unsure if the game is going to work on Switch, so if you choose Switch, and it doesn't get to be released for the Switch, you will have to choose another console or PC version. So... Switch players beware. And then after that, we have new rewards at 1.5. So we will see how far this rocket's going to go, guys. Let's have some pride in our RPGs and move on to the next story. Now, moving on to our next story, Konami, of all people this week, has been teasing and teaming with people for a new game with a world-loved series, and they are promising to show it at the Tokyo Game Show. Thank you to Ed Nightingale at Eurogamer for publishing this, because this is something that really caught my eye. Now, for those of you who don't know, Konami has said that there's going to be a new unannounced game. It's going to last 45-minute presentation and features a voice actor as a guest to represent fans of a world-loved title series. Now, they have not said anything about what the series is going to be. Now, the article goes on to remind us that Konami's biggest games include Castlevania, Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, among others, but to not get your hopes up. Now, Kaji, the voice actor, has been in a lot of different anime and video games, so it's not really clear, even though they said he's going to be there to represent the fans, as to who they are talking about. There are also hints that it's not necessarily a massive game, but Konami has a very interesting history. If you haven't been paying attention, a few years ago, Konami decided pre-pandemic that the video game market was too hit or miss, and they decided to focus on things like pachinko games and other portions of the business that they thought gave better returns and more stability. This meant that they haven't been treating their video games very well to the ire of their fans. In fact, Hideo Kojima has his own game and made that Death Stranding game, which was phenomenal, by the way. But the whole reason we have that is because Konami took his name off of the last Metal Gear that he worked, and then used the assets from that to make the god-awful Metal Gear Survive. And it was not good. It did not have his touch, his talent for storytelling, his interesting characters. And seeing somebody like Hideo Kojima mistreated like that earned the ire of a lot of Konami's fans, as well as just regularly PO'd them, as Konami would just ignore Silent Hill and Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid. These games did sell well. It's not like they suddenly started bombing. It's just that Konami's corporate portion was in charge and did not understand the creativity or the passion that video games and their fans had. Now, the showcase is not going to take place until September 16th. We are still a good 2 or 3 weeks away. So we don't know what this is going to be, and we don't understand yet if this is actual thing. But the fact that Konami is doing this is a very interesting twist in how they've behaved in recent years. Because now it seems that Konami wants video games. And it makes a little sense when you think about it. Video games are on an upswing. Even with after pandemic, the number of people playing games is not increasing or a bit lower. Game money, revenue, and everything is still going up year over year. And even after all the consolidation that we're seeing in the industry, we're probably still going to have a lot of really cool games. Last week on A Cow's Opinion, we showed you that Gamescom had promised a lot of really awesome looking stuff in 2023. So the gaming industry is probably going to power through very, very well, especially once the supply chain issues get knocked out and you can get the next Xbox and PS5s that you want. Or how about one of those OLED Switches? I would like an OLED Switch, but it's not just supply, but also my little pocketbook crying out in pain that is preventing me from getting it right now. But maybe someday. It also wouldn't matter for you guys when I record Switch games because I gotta use the PC to do that. Now, they also talk about how there's a Silent Hill 2 remake rumored to be in the works by Bloober Team, and Metal Gear Solids are set to return to digital stores after being temporarily removed, which also brought up rumors that maybe Hideo Kojima would come back and help them on another Metal Gear. A very beloved franchise, which I cannot stress enough you should give a try if you've never played before. It is literally a multi-decade story of war and what it means to fight for what you believe in and how to know when you've gone too far and what makes a hero and what makes a villain. It's just phenomenal storytelling all the way through, even back to the old NES days. That's right, it's a freaking storyline that goes the entire length of the video game system's history. It's fantastic. God, I'm really tempted to just do a Metal Gear 4 playthrough now. But I think my channel would have to be a little bit bigger to support that, unfortunately. Also, I don't even know if all Metal Gears are... I mean, some of them are returning digitally, but I don't know if all of them are going to be playable digitally. But this is an interesting thing, and we will have to keep our eye on it, folks. Hopefully, it's really cool, great news. I was not happy with how Konami handled things, but if they start making great games again and treating people with respect, then I don't see any reason why we shouldn't support them and enjoy them again. You got to be able to forgive when the company does what you want them to do. This isn't... I don't understand those idiots out there who are like, oh, don't do this, whether like politically or economically or creatively, and when the company makes the changes that people want, oh, we can't support them, they screwed us. But they're doing what you want. So, it doesn't make any sense to not support them anymore. Again, we will have to see who and what they are doing on September 16th at the TGS, which, FYI, it is looking like it's going to be a pretty big show, just like Gamescom. E3 may have kind of puttered out due to how the American convention scene went, but Gamescom was huge, and TGS is going to be looking like it's huge too. So we might actually have a big E3 next year as video games come back full force, as we hopefully continue to step further and further away from this pandemic. It sucks. I hope you guys are still... I know it's not as a concern in some parts of the world, but there are other parts of the world that we won't speak about because I don't want to get banned for it, where getting sick is still a really terrible thing. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. And moving on. Our next story is actually something I kind of expected, but I don't think is what people are wanting. So the UK regulator, or British regulator, if you don't know what United Kingdom means, has raised concerns that Microsoft's takeover of Activision Blizzard is too anti-competitive and has asked the companies to address questions and is saying that they might investigate. Now, their concern is obviously that Xbox's proposed takeover of the company behind popular titles including World of Warcraft and Candy Crush, as per this article in The Guardian, by the way, by Mr. Alex Hearn, would be the biggest ever video game industry merger, which is true, and could substantially lessen competition in gaming consoles, multi-game subscription services, and cloud gaming services. Now, they go on to say, we are concerned that Microsoft could use its control over popular games like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft post-merger to harm rivals, including recent and future rivals in multi-game subscription services and cloud gaming. One of the reasons that they're doing this is because Blizzard has said that, look, Starfield, next Skyrim, probably only going to be available on PC and Xbox. So now they're worried, well, what if they decide to make Call of Duty PC and Xbox only? It is a little weird, though, that the UK regulator is taking up on behalf of Sony, who does just as much acquisitions and anti-competitive behavior. Now, I'm not trying to say that this isn't... But see, right here, they're both plowing billions into filing out the catalogs of their subscription services. And Mr. Spencer of Microsoft has been commenting as well. PlayStation launched a competitor to Game Pass, which is honestly a terrible thing. It has no free games. And in fact, Sony says that if you offer games free, people buy less games, and that is actually not true. It's been proven through statistics that you buy more games when they're offered on Game Pass, because Game Pass only keeps games on for a while. You get a chance to play like an unlimited demo, and then lots of people buy the game when it comes rotated off of Game Pass. But that's not the point of this little mini segment. The problem with this segment is that a lot of people don't want, and when I say people, I mean gamers, don't want Microsoft to take Activision Blizzard because they are worried about what the UK watchdog is saying. However, a lot of people do want Activision Blizzard to be bought by Microsoft because it's the only freaking way to make that troll, Bobby Kotick, go away. If you don't know, the way the company works is Bobby Kotick is the CEO. The CEO is supposed to answer to the board of directors, who are the ones who will take the interest of shareholders, who are in turn supposed to do what's best for the company and its consumers. The problem with that usual setup is that Bobby Kotick has been so successful for so long that he began putting in boards of directors, directors at the board who were very, very, very pro-Bobby. And so they would reward him with lavish contracts, and his friends would be in charge of the board. A board of directors position is not a full-time job. It's why you see CEOs will be on several other boards in other industries. Celebrities or retired executives will also be have a couple of board seats. And you get paid for basically like 1 day of work a month. It's kind of a cushy job if you can get to it. Now, you are responsible for making sure the company is working. It's just you're not 100 hours a week, nose to the grindstone like other executives are. So Bobby rewarded board seats to his friends who ignored any kind of problem or any kind of dissension against Bobby's way of doing things, unfortunately. And because of that, that's why things like the very toxic culture of Blizzard, as well as all of the unfriendly consumer policies that have made people mad, have been allowed to fester for so long until they finally reached their breaking point. And Bobby was actually surprised when his board members would not back him up. After Microsoft made the offer, he expected the board to back him and saying no. But the board really just wants out, and this is a cash out for them. Bobby is going to get a cash. He's going to get like $250 million. It's written in his contract that even if you fire him for incompetence, he gets the vast majority of that parachute because he had so much control. Normally, a board of directors is not going to say, oh, you're incompetent. Here's $240 million or whatever the number is. I don't remember. So, yeah, he's set up pretty well no matter what. It's unfortunate. But for those of you who are like, yes, finally, somebody, this UK regulation body, the Competition and Markets Authority, is standing up to... No, they're not. This is literally just a European regulator who's going to slow it down just a bit. And I'm willing to bet within the next month, we're going to have them saying, okay, you can go through. There's just... I'm not saying that they don't have arguments, but the problem with blocking a merger is that it is the government's responsibility to prove that the merger would greatly harm consumers. The company does not have to prove that they won't. The government has to prove that they will. That is a much taller burden of proof for the courts to accept legally. And so what's probably going to happen, this is honestly some UK regulator who wants to, look, we're being tough on them, and then just like, go through the back door in 3 to 4 weeks, you'll be fine. So yeah, this is, I'm still 95%. I'll be happy to make a video and say, I can't believe this didn't go through if it doesn't go through. But it's probably going to go through, guys. I understand that Call of Duty is a big thing. I understand that Microsoft has said that several big titles from Bethesda may be Microsoft exclusive, which is the thing that they're worried about. But again, I just gotta go back to the fact that there's nothing stopping Sony or Nintendo or any other third party from making a shooter that will get better than Call of Duty. There's not. I understand that it's a big thing. It's going to sell tens of millions of... But it's not. They don't have a patent on first-person shooters. It's just the way that it's set up. So, again, this is a slowdown, but I'm more worried that it's going to be a speed bump and not a hard stop, you guys. So, let's move on to the next one. Guys, your next story today is actually kind of funny for me. Diablo Immortal whales have faced massive orb debt after third-party refunds by TN here on the... For some reason, this is not being carried by as many major news sites yet as I thought. I actually first heard this from the amazing Jesse Cox. He has a video on his 5-minute gaming news segment. By the way, you should go subscribe. Jesse Cox is a pretty fun YouTuber, and he's almost at 1 million subs. The guy deserved to be at 1 million subs way sooner than this. You go hit the subscribe button. Do it. All the cool kids are doing it. Be cool. Basically, Diablo Immortal had an embarrassing, through its Chinese developer, loophole. As you know, when you play these types of games, these free-to-play games, there is usually some kind of gacha aspect, and you can either earn the currency in the game, or like a lot of so-called whales, or people who spend lots of money do, they will buy the currency. Well, there was kind of a weird loophole that has embarrassed Blizzard and their Chinese developer. So buying these Eternal Orbs, which is the currency in this game, cost anywhere from 99 cents for just 60 up to the most expensive bundle, which is 7,200 for $100. So literally you're spending $1 per 72. For context, Eternal Legendary Crest will set you back 160 orbs per crest, while cosmetics tend to run between 1,000 and 1,600, depending on category. As a result, some players say they have turned to third-party sellers offering cheap deals on orbs, and some quoting deals offering the 72 orb bundle for 10 to $50. Now let's explain two things for you. First of all, if you've ever played a gacha game, you know that the prices you can buy the currency at are almost never exactly. Instead of just buying the thing that you want, you have to buy the currency, which then translates to the thing you want. But there's very rarely a currency bundle that goes exactly towards that currency amount. So, like, if I can spend $5 to get 100 currency, but the item I want is 120, I either have to buy two $5 bundles, or I have to buy the $10 300 bundle. Now, this currency isn't like cash, like the US dollar, or the euro, or the British pound, or any other major currency in the world today. You know, they don't have to worry about stabilization, really. So they do these things to bleed more money out of you, or just make you grind the game more. If you're playing their game, you're not playing somebody else's game. So even if you're only spending a little, or you're free to play, your time and your money are not going to somebody else. It's the nature of the beast. Now, the last part that I said, though, oops, did not mean to do that. The last part that I said should have confused you. Some players say they have turned to third-party sellers. Again, this is not a global currency market. You should not be able to buy an orb from a third-party seller. This is a completely closed economic system. But some third-party sellers managed to find ways to hack. Because, again, this game was not developed by Blizzard Activision in America. They farmed this out to a Chinese company that had made a Diablo Immortal knockoff a while ago. And like, oh, yes, let's just put all money-grubbing thing onto your platform. I really hate this, by the way, if you can... I played Fate Grand Order for a long time, and even though it was hard, I never felt like I was being truly scammed by Fate until I finally decided, you know what, I'm just out of the grind, and I'm going to stop. And I didn't spend terrible amounts of money on it. But when you're 50% to 90% off is what they were offering. And a lot of players were doing that deal because it's just, look, the game is a cheesy piece of garbage. We've seen people like Jesse Cox and Asmongold, and just type it into YouTube if you guys want. Just freaking anything about Diablo currency being unfair, and you will see how pathetic the rate drops are without the right crest or the right items for your dungeon run, and how you really can't do PvP combat or endgame grinding without it. So a lot of people took advantage of this, and there are multiple threads now on the game subreddit that huge numbers of players who purchased the Eternal Orbs now have a negative orb value when they log into the game. Now, this is typically what happens when a user refunded their in-game purchases, such as through a storefront. But in this case, it looks like because illegal and illegitimate sources and methods such as third-party sellers are against Blizzard's terms of service, they have been revoked in mass. But you haven't just lost the orbs that you bought. Oh no, Blizzard has created debtor's prison. They literally figured out how many... It didn't matter if I bought 1,000 orbs and I only have 100 of them left. I now have a balance of negative 900 orbs. They are saying you need to buy or grind the orbs that you illegally stole or purchased, or else you're not going to play. In fact, one of the players affected is a top Battleground resident, Shia, who showed an image of a negative almost 2.5 million orb balance. That is 35 grand in America. That's 31 grand in British pounds. Speaking to fellow Immortal Demo... I'm amazed. I can't talk. Diablo Immortal Whale just saw business. Best known as the player unable to play PvP after spending 100,000 on his in-game purchases. Shia says they bought the orbs through a secondary market that had good reviews. In the beginning, it was 20 per 7,800, and then it went up to 50. And they were most recently charged about 85 per bundle. Much more expensive than initial prices, but still a 15% discount. And when asked, will you start over or quit? He says, I think I will quit. Over half, Pale Blood is another Reddit user, and he says half of his clan has been hit with these orbs. And nobody in my clan sees a problem, really. Everyone owns up to it, and we all agree that we deserve this. If there was a reasonable official price for Eternal Orbs, I bet many would resort to buying for cheap. Some commenters say they've been hit with punishments despite buying from sellers that they have had no problem with in the last 3 years for other mobile games. So, other Southeast Asian mobile games are not Activision Blizzard. They don't really care too much because they make tons of money. Blizzard doesn't want to make tons of money. Blizzard wants to make all the money. I am not defending the people who bought the orbs illegally and fraudulently, though. A lot of, like the Pale Blood said, we knew this could happen. This is just, it's the cost of doing business. So, Matt, there's a lot of these people are going to be banned if they don't repay those debts. And that's just really, really... It's the state of this game. This was made to be a money grab for Southeast Asia. This was not made for Europe. It's not made for America, where we do not have the long public transport commutes, or where we all have a lot more ownership of private consoles and private PCs to game at home with. It's a cell phone game. It's free, and it's going to bleed you out. Now, Diablo Immortal microtransactions passed $100 million in the first 2 months, but frustration among the highest-ranked players has been rife after the clans have suffered from these mass reports. And the latest update introduces the Season 4 Battle Pass and new Heliquary bosses, Justor and... How do you pronounce this? If you're jumping in, be sure to check our tier list. But okay, so that's just their advertisement. Guys, look, I blame everybody in this regard. It's a money-grabbing game. It's made to be impossible to grind. It's not a fair gacha game. Some people would argue if there's such a thing as a fair gacha game, but they're all games that have pay-to-win stuff that are still fair to your casual or your free-to-play audiences, and Diablo Immortal is not one of them. And I say, honestly, combined with the previous one, I'm just not going to play any Blizzard games until we actually have new ownership at that company, which means either Microsoft buys them and hopefully it makes it better, or Kotick gets ousted and we get new leadership. I can't support this company. If you want to, though, a ton of the people who made Blizzard what it is now have their own video game companies. We've showcased a couple of them on previous episodes, and we will continue to shine the light on these lovers of games and support them, because you know what? Games are awesome. Let's move on to our final story. And in our final story, I just want to thank you all for the support. We are at currently 366 subscribers here on the Couch channel. It is growing slowly but surely as we do more games and we do more stuff. I mean, 34 views on my last Live Alive. Next episode drops tomorrow, and I want to talk about that. I talked about it at the end of the video too, but thank you all for your support. And also, I want to showcase this real quick. 125 views on last week's news thing. So you guys will keep getting a cow's opinion every single Sunday for your video. And where I can just give you my opinion and try to point out to anything that happened over the course of the week. Over the course of the week. I'm sorry, guys. I have some family stress. We're not going to talk about it here and now. When it's over, we can talk about it. But it's not keeping me from... Why one view here, 6 views here, and 11 views here? YouTube. You're so fun. And by fun, I mean weird. But I wanted to thank you all so much for the support that you are showing this channel. We're going to cover 2 changes real quick. Next video of Live Alive tomorrow, I believe, is our last one. Because the issue is that Square Enix has begun to channel strike anybody who shows anything after the initial 7 chapters. I was surprised. I did not know that there was something beyond the 7 stories. I mean, I kind of suspected, but it went into a really cool place. You're going to have to see that place yourself. Even though I've been playing through it, I can't post it because Square Enix would channel strike me. It comes down to Japanese developers not understanding how beneficial YouTube is to game sales. And so, unfortunately, we are just going to have to just let it... We'll finish they'll allow you to do the 7 initial chapters. I have them finished. It's getting posted. We'll move on to other games. I'm a little disappointed because I really wanted to share more of this game with you to help push it out onto YouTube better. But after checking through Reddit and YouTube and really cool person in the comments, I'm going to actually... E5861. I want to thank E5861. Who did a remarkable job of making sure that I was aware of this before I posted anything. Because this wonderful YouTube member probably saw that, oh, he's done all the others. This is fun, but I don't want him to get hit. So thank you for that. You know, with as mean as YouTube has been sometimes to me and to everybody, really, who takes a chance on posting their voice and opinion and creativity on this platform, it's nice to know that, hey, some people still like you. So we'll move on to other games, and we'll have more fun. Don't worry about it, guys. Games are still awesome. And this is, I don't like it, but it's Square Enix's right. And we have to respect their rights because they then have the right to issue a takedown. But the other thing I want to say is that you're probably wondering, if you're a long-time viewer of this channel, hey, it's the first weekend of the month. Where are the channel analytics? Well, the channel analytics are not going to be displayed anymore because, first of all, they just didn't get a lot of views. I mean, they're good for me to go over, and I continue to go over them. Probably more on a weekly basis now just to keep up with it. But they didn't get a lot of views. A Cow's Opinion does much better, so it's better for me to put my time and energy into making a video that you and casual watchers, non-subscribers of the channel, will actually watch. And just like our buddy E5861 here warned me about that, a couple of people have warned me, hey, as your channel grows, it's less about finding out how cool your little channel does. And some people, especially if it ever makes any money, are going to see it as bragging or shoving it in people's faces. That's not the point of the segment. But because we have a better show now to give you once a week, not once a month, now A Cow's Opinion can be once a week, and analytics are not. So now that we have something better to do, I say let's do the better thing that you guys actually want to watch. And let's do that, and let's do more stuff. Maybe someday the channel can have like its own Alpha Cow segment where we purposefully play game alphas and game demos. Actually, I do play game demos. Maybe that can be a segment. It's just, again, I have a full-time job. This is for fun. But maybe someday it will be more. I don't know. It is September 4th. My birthday is in just a couple of weeks. I am going to look forward to a lot of stuff for my birthday, including multiple days off of work, because, God, I deserve it. They finally, Workfront's been getting better, though. I can talk about that. They finally hired the last 2 slots. The third person they hired had started on Monday, the very end of August, and by the end of October, hopefully, everybody's going to be fully trained. I'm not going to have to do twice as much work. I'm probably going to be very disappointed with what my annual is, because that's just what annuals at companies do. But, guys, this is your news and opinions for this week. Thank you so much. Tune in next week for another Cow's Opinion. And until then, you know what? It's Labor Day here in the U.S. I hope that you have a day off tomorrow, and if you don't, I hope that it goes by quickly because so many other people have days off. It makes your day easier because there's less people to come help bother you at work. And guys, thank you for everything. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And I'm just going to chill out on Discord and watch AEW with some friends and fellow gamers while eating chicken wings. That's my plan for the rest of the day. I hope you have a good Sunday too. Thank you all so much for all of your support, and I'll see you next time.